My brother got me excited about aviation. From there, when you decide to do something, you jump in with both feet, or I do at least.
They wanted to do something more. Concept of building something wrapped around World War II aviation.
I think that I've always wanted to build a museum.
From an early age, 6 or 7 years old, all I wanted to be is around these World War II airplanes.
It's amazing how much goes on behind the scenes here.
The museum as a whole is much more than the airplanes. Everything moves, it comes to life.
A learning environment that hopefully can engage everybody.
Telling the story of the people who were there.
And taking that time in our history, let's not do that again. And I'm going to walk you through what we do every morning to bring the museum to life.
To see it and build it, and then I think in the last 2 years, watch it actually blossom and flourish. There's a lot of museums that are bigger, and I go, absolutely. There's huge museums, but they're not better.
And you take these things that have been sitting out for 40 years in the elements or underwater, you restore them to flying condition using a fair amount of actual parts.
My dad's business went from a couple of guys that were barely making it to a pretty proficient restoration shop, if not the #1 shop in the world, really.
We would say, hey, this is what we need to do, because if not, it's going to take us 6 years to build that project.
So it's quite a feat to restore these airplanes to flying condition. Been fun. It's just been a discussion among friends.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Winged Victory with Rob and Scott, a podcast by the National Museum of World War II Aviation here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Welcome to another episode. I'm Scott Clares, and I'm once again joined by my extra sultry-voiced co-host, Rob Gale.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
I don't know if it's sultry or just grating.
So today's episode is brought to you by Blazing Aviation, and there'll be more on that to come on the show here. So just pay attention.
I plan to.
All right.
This is not going to be difficult.
Apparently it's pretty difficult for me. So today we get to sit down with fellow volunteer Maggie Sullivan.
Howdy.
Howdy.
It's great to be here.
Thanks for sitting down with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it's pretty interesting. You and I met, I don't know, was about 6-7 years ago maybe?
I lost track myself, but something in that range.
It's been a little while, but we met. You came out at the museum here. We had some events with some World War II veterans, and you were part of that group. Yeah,
actually, that's how I got in with that group. Is just coming to the museum for one of those events. I heard about it. I think it was on Facebook, back when Facebook was actually more useful. Yeah, and I came out for that event, and I met a gentleman named Mark Schaefer, who we're all familiar with, who's a wonderful veteran, advocate in the community and does a lot with those guys. And it was after that event that I really got, involved with those events, helping him out.
Yeah, and so you didn't just get to meet these veterans, you actually got to spend a lot of real intimate time with them, essentially. Like you would actually go to some of their houses and hang out with them. And so can you tell us a little bit about
one of those guys, or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think it kind of, taking a step back to that initial event at the museum, that was really a kind of formative moment for me. The whole reason I came out is because obviously I'm, very passionate about World War II and have always been that way. I'd been to the museum once at that point when that event happened. And obviously when I'd come to the museum for the first time, I was just in awe. It's just an incredible place. And then I heard about the event, and I lost my own grandpa who served in World War II. I lost him in 1999. So when I saw that there was this event with, I think it was maybe 12 or 15 World War II vets.
A few of them still there.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh, I just have to go. And so came out for that event, and I think I spent 2 or 3 hours. We had the tables set up right here, with the hangar doors open, and they were all just, each guy at their table, and I just went through and chatted with each of them. And honestly, it was, whether they wanted to tell me about what they did in the war or tell me what they had for breakfast that morning, I didn't care. I was just so happy to be having these conversations that kind of connected me back to my grandpa, who I hadn't had for so long.
Yeah.
And I never got to talk to him about. So let's see. So I basically came out to meet all these veterans because I saw it as a way to kind of connect back to my grandpa.
Yeah.
And so anyway, after that event, actually, the gentleman I mentioned, Mark Schaefer, kind of came up to me. He was the one who had kind of organized it and said, it's clear, you've been here like 3 hours talking to these guys. It's clear you're kind of our people. Would you be interested in kind of helping me support other events like this in the future? And I said, of course, absolutely. And so that's how it sort of just happened very organically. And it, from there, just sort of, it was very organic. It was like, hey, we're going to go over to JJ's house and clean it. You want to come? Sure, I'm in. Or, hey, I'm going to take Bill to breakfast. You want to go? I'm in. So it was just that kind of relationship building. And then over the course of time, there were some really significant things that came out of that, just to me personally, as well as, relationship wise, like you were alluding to. But a couple of the more significant ones, I was able to get in with Honor Flight, which I really didn't know much about.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I had heard about it, but Mark was involved with Honor Flight as well. So he sort of made that connection for me as well. And I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to be a guardian on an Honor Flight for a wonderful man named Tony, who was a Vietnam vet. And just that experience was life-changing for, I think, both of us, really.
Yeah.
And that would have never happened had I not come here.
Yeah.
And then the other, maybe even more significant one for me was Bill Roach, who we're all familiar with. He was a really fantastic World War II veteran, incredible history in the war and also after that with the Air Force Academy, et cetera. We became very close, and I was actually able to go with him and his family to the 8th Air Force reunion in Savannah, Georgia, a few years ago. And that was just, there's no words to explain how special that was to be kind of part of his family there. And then he, unfortunately, as we all know, kind of passed away pretty recently, about a year and a half, maybe 2 now. But his family invited me to Arlington for his services, which was just...
That's appropriate.
It was incredible.
Yeah, that's a major honor.
It was really, really special.
And
so
was that the first... Oh, no, you'd been on Honor Flight. So you'd been to Arlington already?
Yes, yeah. But to be able to see his services and do the whole, plane taps and all of that, it was just absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite an experience.
It was.
And I wish more people could have the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, but being invited by the family, that's a signal honor.
Mm. It really was. Yeah, I still sometimes pinch myself that had happened and that I was able to call that man a friend and spend time with him. And
I know that he had quite a bit of stories. So did he have anything that kind of stuck with you that he told you about?
No, I think the most interesting thing about him is that he was just he was a bad man, and you could tell, but he was just so unassuming about it. That he was just really fun to talk to because you could kind of tell he was always kind of metering himself and the things he would say, almost old-fashioned, like he didn't want to offend a lady.
Yeah.
And I was always trying to get more out of him, but he was really fascinating. He was really brilliant. He did a lot of really interesting, I think, foreign kind of top secret type stuff that
Beyond the war?
Yeah, and even after the war and that sort of thing. So he was just there. It was always sort of this feeling of this, he's an open book, but there's more there, and I just wish
you were in the presence of the real thing.
Yes.
And the real ones, you can try to draw them out and maybe still not succeed.
Yeah, exactly. And I always saw it as, whatever you want to tell me, I'm honored to hear. I will bear witness to whatever it is that you feel comfortable sharing with me. With veterans, I never really feel comfortable. Well, tell me about,
Give me more.
Exactly. Whether it's World War II all the way up through a modern veteran, I feel like their experience and what they've gone through is sacred and it belongs to them. Yeah. And so then when they do open up about it, I take that as a really great honor that they feel comfortable to do that.
Yeah. And in many cases, and probably even in your granddad's case, there's the idea that you want to spare people all of it. Let a little bit out. You tend to hear the funny stories. But there is because it's, you're a guardian anyway, you want to shield people from
the horrors
the
of it.
details.
Yeah.
So speaking of your grandfather, can you talk to us a little bit about him and what he did in World War II?
Yeah. So my grandpa, like so many, joined up after Pearl Harbor. He was he was a very gregarious man. He was the jokester of the family. I mean, we still tell his jokes to this day. He was just that super silly kind of guy. He was an artist by trade. He was in the middle of commercial art school when the war happened, when Pearl was bombed, and he joined up, and they basically, I assume, I never kind of talked to him, but I've kind of extrapolated that they probably looked at his artistic side and they thought, oh, this guy can do some interesting stuff with building decoys. And so he did a lot of work. So his battalion was called the 1892nd Engineering Aviation Battalion. So they weren't Seabees, but they were doing similar stuff. So they built runways. He was in Ieshima and Okinawa primarily. And so they were building runways, and they had a ton of work just building and inventing decoys of different kinds, which is
different types
really
of fake
interesting.
Airplanes. And
Fake
I've seen
airplanes,
some of those pictures.
Yeah, I've seen, or you've seen those pictures of the kind of all wooden, shells of an airplane. But they also built other interesting decoys, to be like a haystack with different stuff in it, or shadow decoys to look like an airplane was flying over, different stuff like that.
Interesting.
Or like small scale.
Yeah, that's kind of a very unassuming part of the war. People don't think about that kind of stuff.
Right.
Somebody had to actually build all those.
Yeah.
Well, it's a strategic capability. I mean, you get the other side to waste their stuff on nothing.
Well, and then not only that, I mean, but everybody's always doing intelligence, right? So that, if you're flying over a base and you see 30, 40, 50 airplanes and there's only maybe actually 12 there, maybe they'll think twice about coming after you.
Yeah, the Serbs were really good about that.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. I actually have a very cool picture that he took, that on the back he took the time to kind of enumerate what the different decoy examples were. I brought it when Coleman was here and showed that to them, and they thought it was real fascinating because most people don't really have information about what those decoys looked like.
Well, that's a note for William. We'd like to get that from you.
Yeah, I've got it
Absolutely.
at home. I can bring it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So is that basically what he did throughout the entire war?
Yep.
He was doing the decoys.
Yep, he did that.
And he was moving from island to island, or?
Yeah, I'm not as clear about his movements. I actually recently found the 1892nd Battalion on a Wikipedia. There's a great little snippet of it on there, and that was the most I had learned about their movements and involvement in different battles and so on, or closeness to different battles.
So you said that you never got to meet him, but I'm guessing that your family obviously keeps him alive through his stories and.
So to correct that, I did meet my.
You did meet
him.
Yeah.
I just haven't. Yeah, he passed away in 1999, so I was, I think, 12, something like that. So we were very, very close, but I never became old enough to have that kind of conversation, right?
Grandfathers don't say things to granddaughters that you might have been interested in.
Right.
There's that, again, that natural shield. Saw the same thing with my wife's granddad. He told me all kinds of stuff, and she said, he never said anything about that. It's like,
yeah, that's what
you're the granddaughter.
Yeah.
So where did your interest in all this come from then? Was it born out of your grandfather?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a couple things, right? The interest in World War II, certainly from my grandpa, and then there's the aviation aspect, right? So
when did that hit you?
Yeah, I think that's
remember?
that's sort of always been there, almost, because I grew up in St. Louis, and so between Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, I mean, it was just air show heaven growing up, and I was very lucky that my dad loved air shows. And so my dad always took us as a family. We were always going to air shows, especially in the summer. That was a big thing. And so I think just the early bug of just being in awe. And early on, it was, more modern at that time, the F-14,
well, obviously
F-15s,
the loud stuff.
Or I remember I have this really formative kind of moment where we had a blanket laid up under the arch in St. Louis, kind of the famous arch. We're laying down there. It's like a perfect summer day, and the B-52 flew over the arch right over our heads, and it was just, my mind's blown. It was just such an awesome moment for me.
Hi, we're here at the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs, Colorado, in front of our B-25, and we'd like to show you something.
All right, you see this dipstick? You see that number right there? It says 37.5. That's not 37.5 quarts, it's 37.5 gallons of oil. And that's just for one engine. So take a look around. And you can see for yourself just how much oil could be required to keep this museum flying. This is where our friends at Blazing Aviation come into play.
Blazing Aviation has been partners with the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs for years now, as well as outfitting the Pikes Peak Regional Air Show. And honestly, without their support and the most competitive pricing on the market, keeping these rare birds in the air on a regular basis would be a much harder proposition. With products such as Aeroshell, aviation oil, and Phillips smoke oil, or just your everyday needs in greases and even de-icing fluids, our friends at Blazing Aviation are ready to help you with your needs at the right price.
Look, whether you're a pilot, maintainer, or an owner, there are just some things that you have to fly that airplane. Why not get those things at the best price from the people you know and trust? Get them from Blazing Aviation. Go to blazingaviation.com, airplaneoil.com, or just give them a call at 888-394-0983. And as always, let them know you heard it here on the Wing Victory podcast.
So that was kind of, early days. It was just ubiquitous. I just loved air shows. I just had to get an air show in my blood. And then I can't remember really at what point it kind of shifted. There wasn't as much opportunity for me growing up to see radials. I'm sure I saw them once in a while, probably more often static. But really the first time that I sort of got smacked in the face was probably about maybe 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. I had an opportunity to fly on a T-28. And that was my first war.
Where'd that come from?
I was at Palm Springs Air Museum, and I was hosting an event for my work. It was this huge event that months of planning had gone into, and they bought me a ride on the T-28 as a thank you. And I really didn't know anything about it. I was like, all right, this is great. I'm super excited, and oh my gosh, it was magical.
Yeah.
An interesting little side story is the gentleman who flew me at the time, they said, oh, this is Pat. He's a test pilot. He's great. He'll take good care of you. All these years later, working at the museum, I mentioned that to Bill Dude, who I know has been on the podcast. And he's like, Pat, I know that name. I bet it was Pat Nightingale of Chino fame. And it was Pat Nightingale. So that is just such a crazy, connection. So my first Warbird ride, Pat Nightingale flew me in his T-28. Yeah, and I was just totally hooked.
And that was it.
Yeah. Once you hear the radial, once you feel it, once you smell it.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Personally.
You know.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
hard
kind
to
of
go
there.
back.
Well, that's quite the journey. So what brought you out to Colorado Springs? I mean, you grew up in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And then what? You moved to, weren't you up in Washington for a while?
Yeah, I did. I moved to Seattle after college in St. Louis.
And then that got you into your job that you're at now?
Right, yep.
Which is?
Microsoft, yep. So I work for Microsoft. I've been very fortunate to be there going on 15 years now. And I recruit software engineers, so nothing aviation related, unfortunately, but it's a great job, and it takes really good care of me. The company takes real good care of me, and it's a place I'm proud to work. So it's been a good way to supplement the things I'm passionate about, like working here and volunteering here.
And afford you do a lot of remote work from home.
I
right?
do.
So
yeah.
It gets to afford you some of the things that we'll talk about here in the future here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'd like to kind of stick with the timeline. So you get here, we meet, and then you see, I got this like passion for all this. How do I get involved in this around here? And so we were able to get you in over working on airplanes.
Yeah, which is still amazing to me. I think I had signed up just on the website, like any old person. I had signed up for volunteering, and initially Larry had reached out from the art department and asked if I wanted to do an interview over there, and I thought, sure, I'll do anything. I just want to be involved. And then for one thing kind of fell through, or I don't know, it never really came to fruition exactly. But kind of again pulling back to that thread about the veterans, kind of pulling me in continually. I think what actually happened is Mark and I brought a gentleman named Les Fry out. He was one of the veterans. He was a B-25 guy, a gunner, if I recall. Really sweet guy. We brought him out for a fly day because we were flying in the mood that day, and that was before I even knew what a fly day was. So we brought Les out for a fly day, and I think that was when, like we kind of knew each other, but we connected a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think I met you when you first had all the guys at the table out here. Maybe that was when you were getting introduced to them as well. So
yeah. And
then I think maybe you came out, did that, and that's what I was like, oh, you're going to be out here all the time.
Yeah,
you're into this stuff. So.
Exactly. And I think it was after that I contacted you, and it was sort of out of the blue, and I just frankly took a shot, and I fully expected you to say, yeah, I don't think we're good. Thanks though. But I think I just messaged you and said, hey, I'm really passionate about this. I really don't have any experience in maintenance. I don't have a background. I'm not an A&P, nothing like that, but I can learn. I can turn a wrench. I'm, good at detail and good at listening. And
yeah, you definitely are good at listening and have no problem wiping down airplanes.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure. So it's or get you in the little places that we can't get.
Yes.
There's been a few pictures
I
on Facebook of feet hanging out.
Well, Don lost his glasses in the T6.
Yeah. Yeah, there she is.
There you are, diving down there,
hey,
and you got him.
If I fits, I sits. So
that's definitely her mantra around here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what you've been involved in over here now, doing airplane stuff for I don't know how many years has it been?
I guess like about 4.
I think it's been
maybe
more than
5.
that. Because how many air shows have you been involved in?
It's been 2.
You've been involved in 2.
Yeah.
So you do the ramp with us, the air show, and the experience and all that.
Yeah.
You've gotten to fly in a few of the airplanes.
Yeah.
Which one?
I have flown in the B-25.
Mm-hmm.
I've flown in the PT-19. I have flown in the Turkey.
Yeah.
Which might have been my favorite. I've also flown in the Stearman.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Turkey I got to fly in the rear gunner, which was pretty awesome.
So out of all the airplanes here that you could fly in, which one that you haven't would be like a bucket list item?
Yeah, that's an easy one for me.
Yeah,
that'd be the Dauntless.
Yeah, SVD.
Oh yeah.
That happens to have a second seat in the back of that thing. Now you just got to cozy up to Alan.
I know it. But
like, hey.
You know what though? I always tell people, I will never ask. I will never ever ask. Any ride that I have ever been given at this museum, I'm so grateful for. Honestly, it's just I will never ask. Yeah. But you asked, so that's the one.
So getting back to the availability for you to be able to be mobile in your work and stuff. Mm-hmm. So now you decide you're going to sign up and get to know the CAF guys.
Yeah.
So explain that.
Well, that was really kind of by accident, and honestly, I attribute even getting to do that back to you guys as well, because I think, I was with you for probably a couple of years before I really discovered the CIF.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard about the CIF. Obviously, I knew a little bit about their operations, but I hadn't really encountered the CIF. And I don't think, frankly, I would have really had the confidence to think I could do something with the CIF had I not, kind of built up some experience here with you guys and kind of start building our getting into this warbird family. But as it happened, the CIF squadron that I ended up joining was here in town. And so the squadron I belong to, one of the squadrons I belong to, is the B-24 B-29 squadron. Mm-hmm. And so they were parked down the ramp, literally just down the way here. And I went out, again, similar thread, right? Mark and I took some veterans out. Bill Roach was one of them. We also took Wayne Daniels, who was like 1,000-hour B-17 pilot, awesome guy. And I think we also took Ed Beck with us. And we went out to see the airplanes, and we were hanging out all day, and we were just, really having a great time. And then I went back the next day. My dad and I actually splurged and both bought Mustang rides. So it was like a really fun
cool.
father-daughter, event together. And after that, after we both had our Mustang rides, the gentleman who flew me said, again, it was like, you're our people. I've seen you out here on the ramp for 2 days. You've been out here for hours just playing with airplanes, and you should come out and volunteer with us. And that was all it took. I said, tell me how, tell me where, tell me when, and
so what's
here
involved in that? You got to go down to Texas and do like a week-long training?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yes. So the CIF has squadrons all over the country. There are,
But for that particular.
For that particular one, yeah. So that one is located in Dallas. The hangar is located in Dallas. Pretty much all the squadrons have their own ground school per every year. And so ground school is kind of a mix of, depending if you're a pilot, scanner, I can talk a little bit more about what that is if you're interested, but depending on what your volunteer persona is, there's different aspects at ground school that are relevant to you. So for pilots and flight engineers, it's more kind of systems and actually working over the airplanes, whereas for maybe more ground type folks, it's more about how we actually tour. And then there's folks kind of in between that are scanners. There's more kind of a combination of the
explain.
the two
What
things.
is a scanner?
Yeah, so the B-29 is probably, is a very large airplane.
Correct.
And so at wartime, it would have flown with a crew of 11. Nowadays, we fly with a minimum crew of 6. So that's pilot, co-pilot, a flight engineer in the front, and then we have 3 scanner crew in the back. So the scanner crew is what I've trained on, and the scanner crew is essentially eyes and ears back there.
Lookouts.
Yeah, you really can't see anything when you're in the front. Even aside from, the flight engineer can look out his panel here, his panel window. But in the back, we're essentially monitoring everything to make sure that when we say flaps are 15, they're actually 15. When we say, the engines look okay, the gear's actually up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're monitoring to make sure everything looks okay with the engines, whether we're just, taxiing, startup while we're in flight, etc. Another really significant one that you don't think about is just the size of the B-29, right? So the runways are often pretty tight, right? So kind of just having an eyeball, making sure we're not getting too close to rolling off the side. And just in general, kind of keeping eyes and ears out, air traffic as well. And then, of course, we have,
tour guide.
That's an aspect as well when we do ride flights as well, taking care of the passengers. And then, of course, emergency functionality. So if something should happen, both the flaps and the landing gear have backup systems, which are us, in terms of needing to deploy those in an emergency. There's an APU we run if we need to, that sort of thing.
Sounds like she's been well trained.
As
exactly what she needs to do.
Obviously is, but that's what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to keep those things flying.
Yeah.
You do whatever it takes, and you're obviously well regarded around here for competence. I'm sure you bring that to CAF too.
I like to think so. It's been a really enriching experience for me, and it's that squadron that we talked about, the B-29, also has a B-24. And I think what's been really special for me is that it's sort of opened other doors. Once you get in there, you meet a lot of other people. The community's really tight.
Well, yeah, because you're traveling around
while
you're doing that. So you're not just sitting in Colorado Springs,
right? Yeah,
at a museum
that
flies out of Colorado Springs,
right?
you know, you guys are traveling all over and you're glad handing and meeting people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for sure puts people in front of you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm starting to get a little upset at the CAF though, because they're taking all of our young people out of our museum.
Yeah, but I'm still here.
I know. Well, we got you, and then they got Corbett Hankins.
They did, yeah.
You know, he grew up over here, but
Yeah.
he's working down for them and actually flight engineering on Fifi.
It is, yeah.
So it's pretty cool actually to be able to see. You know, I get to see you guys on Facebook and stuff, posting and doing things, and knowing that you guys are out there and spreading your wings.
Yes.
So to say.
Yeah, it is really special.
You know, they could give us their Wildcat in exchange.
Who's going to fly that thing? I'm not getting in that.
Well, I'm obviously not.
Kidding. No, obviously we would take anything, but no. I
think
mean,
it's only fair.
It's only fair?
Yeah.
A couple of our people for their Wildcat?
Yeah, I think that's a good trade.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why don't you work on that for us?
I got you. Yeah, no problem.
You seem to know everybody over there. So.
Well, they left it out here for months after the air show. Mike Polly said, "Oh, it's going to be a couple of days."
Yeah.
Like, cool, we got a Wildcat for a while. And then we had it, and we had it, and we had it.
Yeah.
We got to just push this thing into a
corner,
Connex,
they can't get it out.
put it into a Connex box and deny all knowledge.
We probably could have. It's pretty big, though.
No,
as small as it is.
The Wildcat would definitely fit in the Connex.
Take the prop off of it. So you're out there and you're exploring the countryside, and in a B-29, what does that instill in you? I mean, what are you thinking? Like, I mean, it's been short 5 years since you kind of walked into this place, and now you're part of a B-29 crew.
It's amazing. Yeah, I pinch myself all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't notice it quite so much when we're actually flying, because I'm kind of
you're
concentrating.
Well, you shouldn't be.
Right.
You should be thinking about what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. But I have these moments afterwards, or it'll be that night I'm laying in bed trying to fall asleep because I got to wake up at 6 a.m. the next morning, and I think about what the day was like, whether it's just the fact that I had the honor of being a crewman in that airplane, or the experience that we're able to give people and how much that means to them. And it's such a once in a lifetime moment for these folks that get to come on a ride flight with us. And so thinking about those two things kind of in tandem is just, it's very,
I imagine
it's amazing.
Those two airplanes showing up to an airport brings crowds.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it certainly did here the one time so far.
Yeah. But yeah, it's incredible. And, in the last year, I was able to sort of branch out again through folks that I met who invited me to come check out the R4D, which is a Navy designation C-47. And I really knew nothing about that airframe except that I was enamored of it. You always see the D-Day drops with the invasion stripes, and it's just, just such a classic kind of
90
motif.
years and going strong.
Yes, yeah. And so I knew nothing about R4Ds. I'd never heard of that there was a Navy designation, and they're a squadron not far away from where the 29 and 24 are. And so I've been training to be crew chief with them for the last year, and I actually had the honor to go over to Duxford and Normandy with them last summer for D-Day, which was, I actually still don't have
we
really
know somebody
words for that.
Yeah, so
who
now
did
we
that.
got two of our people here did that. Did you run into Ian out there?
I didn't know. I know he was out there with, I think he took Placid Lassie the summer before for the 80th anniversary.
Before. Okay, so you were out there a different year.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I had,
So you just fly over there commercial and then meet up
flew
with them?
commercial.
So you didn't go across the Atlantic with them?
No, did not make that trip. It was actually incredible. They went out for a number of months. They were over there, so it was a huge undertaking of a ton of different volunteers, obviously doing the initial shuttle, and then a bunch of us just kind of cycled in and out to support the effort. And I happened to be there over the course of D-Day, so probably my single best memory of pretty much a perfect 2 weeks was flying over Omaha on D-Day.
Really?
And I was flying the crew chief seat, and which means you're sitting right behind pilot and co-pilot, kind of being able to monitor everything. And we had C-130s off our wings, so it was just.
Did you guys do a drop?
We were only able to do one drop. I wasn't able to do that drop. I'm really excited to learn drop operations because there's some different nuances to what you do in the back. So I haven't gotten to do that part of any training yet. But when we were in France, we were based out of Cherbourg, and we had, I think, maybe 2 or 3 drops planned with Liberty Jump Team and some of those guys, and we were only able to do one drop because the weather was a bit prohibitive that week.
Yep. It's a thing.
So I know you can't really put into words what that was for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's amazing that, you know, you get in, you have something that's kind of, you know, you have a passion for aviation, and then it turns into, you get to meet these veterans and get to know them like really well. Like you're not just meeting them, you got to know them on a very personal level. And now you're almost, you know, you're doing something that most people only read about in books or watch on TV, something that happened. And I mean, what an amazing short span of life there for you.
Truly.
So what are you looking forward to in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think just more of the same. I feel so fortunate to have had every single experience that I've had, and that can be anything as profound as what I just described, flying over Omaha on D-Day, and everything as maybe menial as, you know, rag wrench in the bottom of a T6, which is what I did on my first day. It's all so meaningful to me just to touch these airplanes and to play whatever tiny part I play.
Is there any aspect of maybe trying to get your own pilot's license and seeing about doing anything like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get asked it all the time, but I frankly am kind of more passionate about the maintenance side of it. So if anything, I could see more going down that AMP route. But, you know, also there's just the very real factor of, you know, time and the time it takes to get that. And the fact that I'm able to kind of scratch that itch without necessarily, you know, going whole hog with a career change, you know, and my career kind of pays for me to come and do this kind of thing for fun on the side.
Don't want to neglect that.
Yeah.
I got to say, Maggie, it's so refreshing and reassuring for someone as coming out of nowhere, basically, and landing in this community with the effect that you've had and all the achievements you've already racked up. You make an old guy's heart sing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we talk to a lot of people that are second, third, fourth generation, you know, that have been involved in this in their entire life, including myself.
Yeah.
And then to just come out of kind of nowhere and just be like, no, I want to be a part of this. You know, it's pretty admirable.
Well, thank you.
Nice job.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I pinch myself every day, and, you know, what's really cool about it when you kind of boil it down, going back again to that common thread of how I got here, I came out for the veterans, and I came out for the veterans because I missed my grandpa.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much here because of my grandpa.
Yeah.
And that's pretty
special.
He'd
be proud.
Yeah, I think
he is proud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being a part of this, and thanks for coming down and sitting down with us. We really appreciate it and getting your story. And you got any last questions there, partner?
Nope. As I say, speaking for the old guys, your granddad's proud.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Maggie.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, geez, Louise. I mean, she comes in out of nowhere, essentially, and within a few years, she's flying on a B-29.
And getting ready to crew on R4D.
Yeah.
Navy's always got to confuse things.
Of course. Well, all you military guys, why don't you guys all work together better? It's like you guys have all these factions, you know, and we're like, wait, we're all Americans here, but you know, whatever. that's a conversation for another day.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, to have her come in and to watch her, you know, go from nothing again, like a lot of people, and then this just to turn a genuine passion, you know, she had and it came from the right place, because it wasn't like, oh, I love these planes and I want to go fly in these planes. It was, I love these people and I love what they did for my country.
Exactly.
And I love who they are, and then everything else is just born out of that.
Well, and come from nowhere, except obviously we were talking to a very accomplished young lady who has a great career
Oh, yeah.
And just chooses to go into this wildly different direction.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. It sounds like the career's pretty good. She has the opportunity to go work anywhere she wants. She could be out on a beach drinking cocktails, and instead she's putting up a flight suit and sucking up fumes and oil and
wiping oil down on airplanes.
Which I guarantee that airplane pumps out some oil.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a B-29 with R-3350s. I know the maintenance that thing probably requires. So, and like I said, when we got another young man, Corbett Hakens, who grew up, literally was a little tyke running around here as well.
His dad's probably over in the hangar today.
Probably still over there, yeah, helping out. So, it's just a testament. Like you keep saying that you keep enjoying the fact that these young, we have a museum here that you could bring these young people in. It opens their eyes, and they might pursue something, and that's the perfect example of that. It all came from just coming and visiting the museum.
Yep.
And then now her course of her life is completely gone in a different direction, for better or for worse. But I think it's for better.
That's for better.
And I think she's, really taking the most out of it she could possibly get.
I think it's great. It's just the people we meet in this place just never fail to impress.
No, not ever. And it all comes from, Grandpa. Grandpa went and served, and he did something pretty special in the war that is very unsung. It's like, you ever seen those pictures of the factories around California?
The camouflage.
Yeah, the camouflage they put over the top of that. And
El Segundo and places like that.
That kind of stuff is amazing. But I've seen all kinds of, these decoys were Hollywood worthy.
Well, and Hollywood helped in a lot of respect, but deception is a vital function of any strategy, any victory.
Yeah.
You can't just stand up on the skyline and.
Well, that's what they did back in the day, right? We're all going to meet at this point at this time, and we're just going to go walking into each other, and whoever survives, survives.
Well, that was
back in the day.
That's back even before my day when it was.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You weren't there for that?
No sword fighting for me.
Okay. All right.
But at least not in this
you
lifetime.
Remember. Yeah.
So, but again, just one more impressive person that I've had the privilege to meet here.
Yeah.
And we got more.
We're fortunate. Like you said, this place is just full of them.
Yep.
Just full of people. They're, each one is just as passionate as the next. It just keeps going and going. And that's why everybody's here. It's the great thing about having a museum where nobody's paid is who wants to be here and who doesn't.
Exactly.
It's pretty simple in that regard.
Thank you, sir. This was a treat.
Yeah, it was great. So thanks again to Blazing Aviation for making this whole thing possible. And
thanks to our friend William, who's going to make me sound as good as I can sound at the moment, I think.
Yeah, why don't you get better? Well, I'd like to hear your normal sultry voice. As much as I enjoy this one, it sounds like you ate a frog. But
I think I may have.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's get a little
let's
better.
do.
Thank God you haven't gotten me sick yet. So for my partner, Rob Gale, for our guest, Maggie Sullivan, and myself, Scott Clares, and William behind the scenes, stay safe out there.